I have a statement that I would like to make today. Regardless of what they don't do, we still must do. Just because they don't do, we still must do. And somebody may say, what are you talking about? As I was reading over in Matthew chapter 5, and I'm going to read a little bit of that with you. And Jesus is talking about loving your enemies. And it struck something in me because it made me think about, regardless of what's going on in our lives, regardless of what we feel that people do or don't do for us, regardless if we feel like people have done us wrong, regardless of that, we're still called to do. And as I read a couple of these scriptures to you, I want you to think about what it's saying. Regardless if mama don't do, we still gotta do. Regardless to if your friend don't do, you still must do. I'm going to read to you what Jesus said. And I'm going to read Matthew chapter 5, and it starts at verse 43. And I'm going to go to verse 47. When you get a chance, go back and read back over it yourself. And it says, you've heard the law that says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. This is Jesus. But I say, love your enemies. Pray for those who prosecute you. Pray for those. In the way you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good. And he sends the rain on the just. He sends the rain on the just and the unjust alike. If you love only those who love you, what reward is in it for that if we only love who love us? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you are kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? If you only love those and treat those right who treat you right. Even pagans do that, but you are to be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. I want you to just think about that a minute. Think about those words, and when you get a chance on your own, go back over those words so you can realize and truly understand what it's saying. See, when Jesus is saying that, he reigns on the just as well as the unjust. See, regardless of if they're our enemies, regardless of if they're the Lord's enemies, God is still a just God, and God still does what's right. We can learn a whole lot from those scriptures right there. See, it may be hard for us to do, but it gets easier and easier when Christ is living in you. See, I want you to truly ask yourself this question. Do you only help those who help you? Be real about it. Are you only kind to those who are kind to you? Do you only give gifts to those who give gifts to you? Do you only do for people who can do for you? That's the thing you got to think about on today. See, if somebody made you mad, are you still going to help them? I want you to get real. See, if somebody made you mad and they pissed you off, but they picked up that phone and said, I'm hungry, are you still going to feed them? If somebody made you mad or did something to you and they pick up that phone and said, I need a ride home, are you going to go get them? If somebody did something to you and said, you know what, I'm short on gas money, could you at least spot me $10, $20 on gas money? Would you do it and you know you got it right in your pocket? I want you to think about it now. We're called to do, even if they don't do. I want you to think about that relationship you're in, that marriage you're in. See, when husband or wife make you mad, what do you do? See, if you knew you was going to put him on some food, if he pisses you off, do you still do that food? Do you still cook food for him? I want you to think about it now. What is it that when wife pisses you off that you knew you was going to do it? You knew you planned on doing it, but she made you mad. So guess what you said? I'm not going to do it. I want you to think about it now. Are you one of those people who whatever happens and you get mad, you just say, I'm not going to do? Whoever makes you mad, or do you wash your hands and say, I'm done with you? I want you to think about it now. Be honest with yourself. Do we truly love when they don't love? Do we still do the things that we're called to do when they don't do? And what the Lord is saying right there, we're called to do in spite of what they don't do. See, in spite of if somebody do me wrong, guess what? I'm still called to do them right. Can you do that? Within your family, outside your family, on your job. If you feel like you being treated wrong, do you treat them wrong? Or can you truly say, no matter what, I'm going to treat them right? And see, that's what Christ is talking about. Loving your enemies, loving people in spite of. See, it ain't just got to be enemies. It can be people who piss us off and make us mad. We could be saying 1 minute, oh, I'm going to do it for you. But if they make us mad, I ain't going to do it no more. I ain't gonna do it no more. She made me mad. I ain't gonna go pick up from work. I ain't gonna do it. Yeah, I was gonna give her that money and help her out. But guess what? She done pissed me off. I ain't gonna give her a dime. Ain't that what we do? Ain't that what we do? He made me mad, huh? Well, what we do, women, sometimes in our marriage. He made you mad, so guess what you ain't gonna do? Oh, I ain't giving him no sex. I wish I would. I'm gonna withhold it from him. And that's very stupid. I wish I would give him something. He done pissed me out. He won't be getting none tonight. Isn't that what we do? See, it ain't just got to be with enemies. It can be people that we say we love. But if they make us mad, we done. And I know I'm guilty of it. Oh, I'm guilty of it because it's easy to do. But what the Lord is saying, oh, it doesn't work that way. We can't do things that way because it's easy to only do things for the people who do for you. That's easy to do. But what about doing for that person who cussed you out? What about knowing that that person did you bad, but you can see them and knowing that they need help? Are you still going to do it? They can be in a line a couple of dollars short with their groceries. Are you going to give it to them? I want you to think about it now. You can very well know that you're in a situation and that you can help them. Do you let whatever they did to you, do you hold that against them and say, I'm not going to help them? To heck with them. They ain't never helped me. See, I want you to think about it now. Is it ever been somebody that you knew needed help, but you turned your back on helping them because you said, you know what? They ain't never helped me. They got back all that lawsuit money. They didn't help me pay not one bill, and I'm not going to help them pay their bills. See, what God is saying, we got to love and do in spite of. In spite of. It don't matter if you help them out. It don't matter if they hit the lottery and they didn't come back and give you a dime. You still called to do your part. See, that's the thing that God had to deal with me about. See, regardless of what they did or didn't do, God said you must always do your part. It don't matter. It don't matter if you help feed them all the days of your life. And if they don't never ask you, do you need help? You still do your part. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, it's hard to do. But the only way that you can do it, Christ has to be living in you. That's the only reason why we're able to do something new. That's the reason why we're able to love a person and treat a person good in spite of. That's why we can still do for somebody who have never done for us, or somebody who treated us bad and talked bad about us. But we can still turn around and say, you know what? I'm going to help you. I'm going to still help you out. Regardless of what you did and didn't do, I'm going to help you out. Somebody need to do that with a family member right now. A family member right now, you holding a grudge over a family member head and you won't help them because you mad at them. They said something that you didn't like, and guess what you said? I'm not going to help you. Somebody's doing it right now in a relationship with their spouse. Somebody won't do for their spouse right now because guess what? They mad at them. He didn't do something right. She didn't do something the way that you wanted her to do it. So you saying, screw it, I'm not going to do it. Could that very well be you today? Is that something that you need to go to the Lord about? Do you need to go to the Lord and say, Lord, I need help with not only loving my enemies, but I just need help with loving people who I feel did me wrong. Because a lot of us are blocking our blessings right now because we feel like somebody did us wrong. I'm going to do them wrong. They didn't help me. I'm not going to help them. Could that very well be you on today? It's time for us to go to God and say, God, I need help. We can go to God about everything else. Why can't you just go to God and say, God, I need help with loving my enemies. Lord, I need help with treating people good who treated me bad. I need help with helping those who never helped me. See, that's the life that we're called to live. We're called to do it the way that Christ was doing. Because see, when you think about our lives, look at the way that Christ looked out for us. And that's something that the Lord had to open my eyes up about. We're so quick to hold grudges against people. We're so quick to be stubborn against other people. But what if Christ did us the very same way? What if Christ did us like we try to do everybody else? So whatever it is that's going on in your life, go to God and say, God, I need help. I can't do this by myself. I don't want to keep this bitterness in me. I don't want to keep this meanness in me, this stubbornness in me, this hate in me. Some of us just need to go to God and say, Lord, I need you to help release it out of me. Help release this mess out of me. Get it out of me so I can be a better me. We're called to love all in spite of. We're called to love all. When is the last time if a person couldn't do something for you, you still did it for them? When is it? And you go to God and you get help, because the only way that you can do any of this stuff is through him. The only way that you can live a better life of forgiving and letting stuff go is through him, and that's through Christ, Jesus Christ. So let's go seek and have a true relationship with the Lord. Let's go down before him and say, Lord, I need help. The only way you're going to ever be able to let that stuff go and love people in spite of and still do when they don't do is because the true and living Christ got to be living in you. And some of us right now on today, we need to go to the Lord and say, Lord, I need you to take control of me. I need the Holy Spirit living in me so I can become a better me. So always remember my closing. Self-examination is the best examination. And Jesus Christ is Lord, and he's all we have. Have a great rest of the day.